What is going on, guys? KWolfe back here again with another Motocast live. It's been a while since I've done this. This is either show 6 or 7. I can't even remember at this point. But I know it's been a while since I've done one of these. But given the recent events of just about everything in the world of motorcycle racing, I figured I'd do one. We can talk over various subjects, including Supercross over the last few weeks. Off-road world, we've kind of started up with that. So, we can discuss that and a bunch of other topics. If you have any questions, comments, whatever, put them in the comments below on the video, and we can talk, we can do whatever, and hopefully we have a great show tonight. So thank you guys again for joining along with me. Thanks to our show sponsors. This is Motocast.live, presented by AOMC for all your motorcycle needs, especially on the European side of things. We also have the aftermarket stuff for the Japanese parts as well. Head on over to AOMC.SX since this is Supercross season right now. Also want to give thanks to Weisscooler Performance Products, ProX Racing Parts, I should say, Flow Vision Goggles, and FXR Race Gear. Speaking of Flow Vision Goggles, we will be doing a giveaway tonight. We'll be asking a trivia question, and doesn't really matter who the first person is to get it right or who even gets it right. We'll throw up a question at some point. If you know it, throw it in the comments. I'll make sure to throw it in the comments when... I'll throw it in the comment. I'll put it up in the comments underneath the video when we get started, or when I decide we're going to do the giveaway. After the show, I'll announce the winner. At the end of the show, I'll announce the winner. But thanks again to all you for joining in. What do you guys want to talk about first? We got we can talk Supercross, we can talk off-road. Let me know. I know we've had a little bit of controversy in the Supercross world over the last 3 weeks with the Lime issues, Limegate, the riders getting together. That's been a highly discussed topic, or a highly involved situation. We got the DQ gate. We'll just call it DQ gate from last week in Dallas. We also have off-road starting up. We've ran the first. There's 3 series out here on the East Coast that that I follow along with. We got the National Enduro Series, we got the Full Gas Series, we got the GNCC Series. GNCC is obviously canceled this weekend. We can get your thoughts on that. Sorry, having to type out a message to possible call-in guest on the show tonight. But we've already got some comments and questions rolling in here. So let's get started. Well, let's see here. Lane, really? You gotta go there. I mean, I know it's nice, but really. Garrett asked what happened to Tomac in the heat race, or in the race. Your guess is as good as mine, as good a guess as Monster Energy Kawasaki's. Probably as good a guess as even Tomac's family at this point. I don't know, dude. I don't know if it doesn't sound like, from what everything I've been hearing and I've been reading, it doesn't sound like it was a bike issue after the crash. Just simple mistake. You put it down on the corner, but after that, I think it's just mental. If you guys didn't hear this a few weeks ago, he did come out and say that he was hurt at the start of the season. Broke the wings off one or two of his vertebrae. Practice crash in November, I think he said, and I think he said the bike hit him. But regardless of what actually happened, he broke the wings off a couple of the vertebrae, and that slowed his training down for a few weeks. So he didn't come in hot with the training or anything like that. He didn't come in at 100%, but he's got a win on the air. So, and I mean, I know that was in the mud and with the Lime Gate in San Diego and all that. So you can't really knock him a whole lot, but I get what your point is. I think there's some kind of mental breakdown that he's just not either divulging or that he's not wanting to admit to something. I think something's definitely going on because he's got one win, maybe 2 other podiums through what is this 7 rounds or 8 rounds now? What is this? Yeah, through 7 rounds we've raced right now. Josh, don't bring that. What is that, basketball? I'm assuming that's basketball, Josh. Knock it off. But yeah, your guess is as good as mine with Tomac. This weekend in Detroit is another Triple Crown. I possibly am going to that now that we don't have the first GNCC to attend this weekend. Like I said, I might be there. Probably not. If I do end up going, I can try to get some information. I do have some contacts within Monster Energy Kawasaki, so I can try and figure that out. They're probably not going to divulge a whole lot to me. Let's see here. Yeah, please stop with the rain, Aaron. I'm with you on that one. You're in Alabama, right? I don't know how bad it is down there compared to up here. I know it's decently bad. Let's see, we got Dusty. We'll get in. I'll get into Bowers versus Barsha here in a little bit, and just what I know, based on what I've heard and the situation and everything else. I'm going to brighten that up a little bit. Yeah, I'll get into that. Not entirely sure what's going on with after the race. I know what we all know what happened during the race. It's anyone's guess as to what happens moving forward from here. I know there was a lot of fingers pointed and a lot of thrown under the bus situations, mainly just on one guy. But we'll get into that later on. But yeah, we got Detroit this weekend. Going back to your question, Garrett. It kind of got off topic there. Going back to Detroit this weekend, it's another Triple Crown, which isn't exactly Tomac's strong suit, even though he won their race with series within a series last year with that Triple Crown format. The Triple Crowns haven't been his best asset, so if he gets off the line like he's been doing the last 2 weeks, he's going to struggle. I expect Webb to be up there since he won 2 of the 3 races and the overall in the first one. I expect Baggett to be up there. I know he's had a rough couple of weeks, but I do expect him to fight for the Triple Crown. And I'm going to throw this out. I want to throw Brayton into the conversation as well because he's good at those. I know he hasn't really been showing all of his cards lately. He's got a heat race win on the year, but he just hasn't gotten completely up to the level that we we're all expecting him to. So yeah, I'm waiting for him to show up. I'm waiting for Brayton to show up because I like Brayton, good dude, and I know he's got more in the tank. Let's see here. Aaron again, who has put in the work to be on the podium at Palaca. Yeah, we'll cover the fact that they canceled this weekend here in a little bit. Since we are moving on to Florida as the first round now for the GNCC series this year, based on what I've seen from, well, I take that back. We haven't gotten a real good indication because, we've had 2 other first rounds from series so far this year, the National Enduro Series and the Full Gas Sprint Enduro Series. We haven't gotten a good indication yet because with the National Enduro Series this year, KTM and Husqvarna pulled their factory supports from the series. They're not sending the haulers, or anything like that. Any of their supported guys are going in sprinters. And then anybody else that's not racing any PG is going to full gas. So it really kind of split up a lot of the guys where, a lot of guys were doing NEPG and GNCC last year. Not a ton of guys. Not to say that there weren't guys and there weren't top guys doing full gases last year, but not as many of the top guys. But now this year we got more in there, so that's a better indication than the NEPGs. But now, after going on that long rant, as far as Caleb is concerned, I don't know where to put him because I don't think he's been on the bike that long, because of that shoulder injury that he kind of previously had, and then he pretty much finished it off with that crash at the Unadilla Motocross last year. So he's missed a lot of time. I think he's only been on the bike 4 weeks, 5 weeks, something like that. I could be wrong. That may be enough time. I don't know. So I'm not sure where to put him. Second in the series last year was Thad. I think he's had a little bit more time on the bike ever since his surgery on the wrist and in the hand since going into this year, and he rates the full gas. I know Caleb raced the full gas. I know Thad Thad raced the full gas, right? Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. But I know Caleb won. That was in 6 to 7 minute sprints every 45 minutes. So the speed is definitely there. And I'm not questioning that. I just wonder, what kind of shape Caleb's in just because of the time that he's had off the motorcycle. Thad, not as much of a question, only because I think he's been on the bike more. I think he'll be on the podium. I think Caleb will. If Caleb's not on the podium, he's definitely going to be in the 4 or 5 range. I don't doubt that. A lot of things changed this year as far as a lot of guys switching brands, switching colors, switching teams on Pro Row. So it really kind of changes up the whole dynamic. So we're going to see, with the exception of like 5 guys on that front line, maybe less, we're going to see a completely new dynamic to the first round this year, and especially since we're going back to Florida. The last 2 years, we've had that warm-up in South Carolina at Big Buck on clay, so everyone kind of knew where they were coming into Florida and could kind of adjust for it. Now we don't really have that adjustment, coming straight into 3 hours in sand. So we don't have that warm-up period, we don't have that grace period, we don't have an idea of where everyone's going to be. So, back to traditional, back to the original, traditional, or however you want to phrase it. I think, what was it, 2016 was the last year we did it, the original first round in Florida. So I don't know. I mean, we got Caleb and Thad, they're staying where they were. The guys that are staying where they were from 2018 going into 2019 are Caleb, Thad, just off the top of my head, Ricky Russell, and that's it. Three guys that were in XT1 last year, going in XT1 this year, staying in XT1 this year, are all where they are. Everyone else switched. We got rookies coming into the mixture steer. We got Josh Toth moving up to the 350 and running the front row, the 2017 XT2 champion. Yamaha dropped a lot of their support for this year. I'm hearing that they are going to be coming back huge in 2020, with a huge effort, bigger than what they've had the last 4 years. I want to say basically ever since Wibley left full time. So Ricky's the lone Yamaha rider, and then we got the new, Johnny Campbell Racing Honda, JCR Honda left. Phoenix Honda is now coming in, and they've got support everywhere. 250E Supercross, ATV Nationals, ATV GNCC, and Bike GNCC, and that's going to be Andrew DeLong on that new 450 RX. That's right. Yeah, looking over. Thanks, Aaron. Yeah, Baylor boys. Where the heck did you come from? Baylor boys are staying where they are, on Tele KTM. Grant is injured. He missed the first round of NEPG because of another shoulder injury. So and I don't know if he's going to be ready in, where are we at now? 3 weeks out. Yeah, 3 weeks out from Florida, so I don't know if he's going to be ready. But I'm not going to, based on that, I'm not going to factor him on the podium. Stu, on the other hand, he got the first win, right? I think in NEPG, if I'm remembering this right. Stu has been the one consistently over the last couple years to threaten Caleb and Thad for a win. I know Trevor's gotten in there. I know Strang has gotten in there, and then also Ben Kelly from XC2 has got in there a few times last year, especially at the last round at Ironman. So I think Stu will definitely mix it up. That's right, Mackenzie. Bobbitt won it. I should have remembered that. The old man won it. Sorry, Russ. But yeah, Bobbitt won it. But I do feel that Stu will give Caleb and Thad a run if they're on the top of their game. I'm interested to see what happens now that Kawasaki is back. The Monster Energy Babbitt's Kawasaki team with Denny Bartz and Fred Andrews in there, along with Joey. Kind of those three heading up everything, and they've got the full Cowie support, the Team Green support. They've got Josh Strang, who the last time we saw him on a Kawasaki was 2013. I think that's kind of rejuvenated him a little bit, just based on reading up on some things and hearing some stuff. And then they got Ashburn. Ashburn was the top amateur, the overall amateur back in 2010, I think, on a Kawasaki on his own deal. So I think I'm interested to see what happens there. And then we got Bollinger switching over to the Factory Husqvarna team this year. So, and the last time Bollinger was on a European bike was, I want to say 2015, 16 maybe, and it just didn't work out all that well for him. He switched back to the Honda after like 2 months maybe. So I don't know, just based on everything, I know I've kind of rambled on this, but based on everything, it's going to be, I think it's going to be up in the air this year at Florida to see who ends up on that podium at XC1. And I'm not going to entirely count out our defending XC2 champion, Ben Kelly, to mix it up there. He got his first ever XC2 win in Florida last year. He did it in pretty convincing fashion. He got a bad start, or he had a crash in the first lap, something like that. And in one lap, gained up a minute on Josh Toth, who was leading the race. Stuck to him. I don't know if he had the lead or if he was in second when Toth crashed in the last lap. But he made up a minute in one lap in Florida sand, which is that's a pretty tall task for anybody. I don't care who it is, what kind of shape anybody's in, whether it's Ben, Caleb, Thad. That is a tall task to do, and he was able to do that. So with him having another year under his belt with training, and he's been training down at Caleb's, just not too far from Wild Boar, where Caleb's property is. He's been training down there, so he's gotten way more used to the sand this year coming into the season. And he's still on a smaller bike, which is going to hurt him a little bit, but he's a tall rider. He's able to throw it around. He's in great shape. So I'm not going to count him out for being on the overall podium, just based on him coming into the year fresh. A couple of the other guys coming in maybe not as ready. And then just everyone on new bikes, just, we have no indication. We don't have as well of an indication, I should say. Not no indication, but just not as well of an indication, or a starting point going into Florida this year as we normally would, since we're not running at Big Buck this weekend. And I know a lot of you, if you're watching this live or if you're watching this on the rebroadcast, I know a lot of you guys, or I know a lot of people aren't thrilled with that. I know a lot of people that aren't thrilled with that because they had work scheduled off for it, or for whatever reason. Um, some people say oh, it's this is off road or anything else. If you haven't seen any of the posts or the updates since the announcement came out yesterday, GNCC vehicles are already in there, and they're not getting them out till maybe next week once the rain finally stops. They're still getting hit with rain. Their vehicles are already stuck when they made the announcement, and there's more rain coming. So I don't know what everyone expects them to do. I know they've gotten criticized a lot. I've done a little bit of criticizing on them in the past for decisions they've made similar to this. But what do you do? You can't just. Here's the thing. If they ran the race, they would have spent more time pulling people in just to get them parked, and that would have only lasted so long because water has to go somewhere. It's not going to all just run off. It has to go somewhere, and eventually it's going to go down and turn red clay into red mud, and everyone's going to get stuck. So if they didn't call the race, they would have spent more time pulling people in until the tractors couldn't pull them any farther, and the dozers. Yeah, he absolutely does. And then we would have been stuck with a race, and people would have been in sign up forever because they were spending so much time getting pulled in. And then we would have delayed races, which would have just made the track worse since there's still rain forecasted on the race days. People wouldn't have shown up because it was raining like it is in red clay. And then not only do we delay the races, we get everybody stuck. Bunch of riders blow their bikes up. The event loses money. The landowner is mad and possibly not letting us back after that. And then everyone that wasn't complaining before is going to start complaining now, because they just ruined their motorcycles. They got to spend however much time and money to clean it off, replace everything that was damaged, broken, whatever. And then everyone, it's a lose-lose situation for GNCC. And like I said, I've taken criticism on them before for decisions they made, a couple years ago in a similar situation. I understand where they're coming from, though, and I understood when they were coming from there. Not to say that it was the right or wrong decision, but I understand where they were coming from. So anyone that's not... Why did I fall for that? Damn you, Hollywood. So anyone that's not real happy with them canceling, you got to take it into perspective. We're trying in the long game to make sure the event goes back there. And, the end goal for GNCC is to make money. That's apparent, but they're not going to ruin a property. They're not going to, they're not going to lose money just to appease the people that, want to be there just because it's off-road and everything else. So that's my rant for the night for everyone that, is complaining about GNCC canceling for the weekend. I think that was a right move. It's still raining right there. It's going to rain all through the weekend. The only damage that's being done to the property right now is the vehicles that were already pulled in by GNCC getting stuck and having to get pulled back out, and them fixing the track afterwards. So we move on from here. 2 weeks, we go to Florida. The week after that, we head up to Aonia Pass for Georgia, and by then, we'll have a clear indication of what's going on with the series as a whole, the pro riders that are going to be up in the mix in XC1, XC2, and XC3. So we'll hold off for 2 more weeks. We got a full gas next weekend in Georgia, about an hour and a half or 2 hours south of Atlanta. I can't remember the location off the top of my head or the name of the track or the property, but we got that next weekend. So yeah, exactly. AG, that area's already gotten 10 inches of rain this year, and a lot of that's probably been in the last 2 weeks. Am I right? You know, we've gotten, I don't know how many inches of rain up here in Ohio, but the track 5 minutes down the road from me has been underwater for almost 2 weeks now. I mean, I know it's right next to the river, but that's how much rain we've gotten, where the water won't recede long enough to drain out of that racetrack right near the highway. So we've gotten a lot. Blackshear, Georgia. Thank you, Hollywood. Blackshear, Georgia is where the second round of the full gas is. I'll actually pull that up just so you guys can get all the information on that. And speaking of that, we'll do another plug. Thanks again to our presenting sponsors, Appalachian Off-Road Motorcycle, AOMC. Check them out for all your parts, products, and accessories at aomc.sx. Wiseco Performance Products, Pro X Racing Products, Flow Vision Goggles, and FXR Race Gear. Speaking of FXR, they're the new presenting sponsor of the Full Gas Sprint Enduro Series. So, you know, it's pretty cool that they did that. Speaking of FXR and Flow Vision, if you head over to motocast.live and click on the codes page, there's a couple of codes in there if you need to buy anything. Codes are up there for Flow Vision goggles and for FXR race gear. I've got the Sprint Enduro website pulled up. Moccasin Creek Off-Road Park next weekend, March 2nd and 3rd in Blackshear, Georgia. It's about an hour and a half, I think, 2 hours southeast of Atlanta, which is the same weekend. So if you guys are going to be hitting up the full gas, you get done early, you can head on up, check out the Atlanta Supercross at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. I will be there. So if you guys are going to be at Atlanta for the Supercross, find me and hang out, talk some bench racing, and that is also going to be an East-West race. Last year I was there and it was the Triple Crown race. This year it's the East-West race, which is going to be pretty exciting. You know, you've got, unless something happens this weekend, you're going to have both of the Monster Energy Pro Circuit guys on the you know, running red plates, Cincerillo and Faulkner. So that's going to be pretty exciting to watch. So yeah, I mean, and from what I've been seeing, the track looks great. Speaking of Mercedes-Benz Stadium, I got the cup right here that I picked up, the souvenir cup that I picked up last year. So, and I'll tell you what, if you've ever been to the Georgia Dome, if you had ever gone to the Georgia Dome or the old Fulton County Stadium back before Georgia Dome came in, I'll just say this on behalf of Atlanta and you know, all that. They've got it down when it comes to Mercedes-Benz Stadium, when it comes to parking and traffic, because all the years that I went to the Georgia Dome, I'd hang out in the pits after the race for about an hour, hour and a half before I finally got in the vehicle to leave, and I'd still be in a line to get out of there. This year, or 2018, I went and decided to just leave right after the race, not wait around or anything. But from the time I got into the car to the time I got onto the highway was about 20 minutes at most, which was pretty good in the midst of 50,000 people. So that was pretty good. So Atlanta's got their stuff dialed on that one. Let's see. Yeah, since we're talking Supercross, we'll go back to that point. Last weekend at Dallas, we all saw it, the Bowers-Barcia incident. Based on accounts that I've heard from various people, including the riders, including Barcia and Bowers, from stuff that I've heard and read, Barcia expected it. Bowers says he wasn't trying to take him out. He says, and you couldn't tell from the camera angle, and you can't, I've looked, you can't really tell the intention that Barcia had going in the corner, but he went in, he cut low, he cut across to go to the inside, and Bowers was already committed to it. That's Bowers' side of the story, and he ran right into him. Barsha said he was expecting it, and when Bowers hit him, you all saw that he had that graceful dismount and step off, and just walked right off the racetrack. And that was cooler than the that was about the coolest thing I've seen all year. But from what Bowers has said since then, he was waiting and ready for the LCQ, for the 450 LCQ, when John Gallagher, the FIM, and Mike Pelletier, the AMA, who are the referees for those two sanctioning bodies at Supercross, grabbed Tyler, brought him into the tunnel, and told him he was disqualified. And when they came and got him, Bowers said he was fully expecting some sort of a penalty, a fine, something. Then they tell him disqualified. And from his account, every time he tried to defend himself, John Gallagher, the FIM, interrupted him, was yelling, everything else, to the point where AMA's Mike Pelletier had to remove John from the discussion, in the situation, and Mike had to talk to Tyler one-on-one. They were actually able to have a conversation. Tyler brought up some points. Mike brought up points. Tyler had some suggestions for moving forward, and it was received well, apparently, from Pelletier. It was not received, however, after the fact, from John Gallagher, from what I've heard and what I've read. It sounded like him getting disqualified by Gallagher was kind of on a emotional atmosphere and an emotional state, which if you're in this business, and if you're a referee, I've been a referee, I've been around the block, I've done it, I know what the situations are and everything else. But if you are emotional about something like that, then you're not a good fit for it, because you cannot bring emotion to the table when it comes to situations like that. And I don't know if, the speculation is that Gallagher thought that Bowers did it. Bowers took him out based on what Justin did to him at Vegas last year in the finals. If you haven't seen that video, it was a rhythm section right before the finish line. Bowers was outside. Barsha ran it inside, slid the back end around, and blocked past Tyler, but it ended up breaking his tib fib. And that's what put Bowers out for the motocross season. With factory Kawasaki, since Josh Grant wasn't racing. Tyler was supposed to race the outdoor season. He wasn't able to do it because of that. So the speculation is that Gallagher disqualified Tyler, thinking it was, revenge, whatever, based on that. Bowers had 6 other races earlier in the year to do that, and he was near Barsha at 6 other races to do that. So do I think Bowers went for some kind of a move? I do. I don't know if he was planning on it being a takeout, but I definitely don't think that disqualification should have been brought into it. Give him a fine, take points, give him last gate pick for the LCQ and or the main event, whatever. But disqualification without any warning, without any prior talking to, was, in my opinion, over the line. And I've been in those situations before. I know how it is. I know how riders get heated. But when there's no preempt from any other instance like that, I think taking it to disqualification immediately is over the line. So I think, and for one guy to make that decision, for the FIM to make that decision, I think that's wrong. I don't know how that happened, and I'm honestly wondering if that is actually what happened, where FIM made the sole decision without consultation from the AMA. What is AMA doing at Supercross at this point anymore, other than keeping points? I don't understand what's going on. I know why FIM is in there. That's a whole nother discussion for another day. I'll, if you guys want, I'll do, just a podcast on that, just a pre-recorded thing, and explain what happened to be released later. I'm not going to do a live show on that. So like I said, I know why FIM's in there. Why FIM came in there, what was that, almost 15 years ago now, or almost, we're going on maybe 20 years now. I think 2003 was when they first came in, or 2004, roughly right in there. So 16, 17 years. I know why they came in. I don't know why they're still here. We don't need them. And, you guys have all been part of conversations with, amongst yourselves with, their whole thing with disqualifications, with WADA, the whole Brock Tickle thing, the Cade Clayson thing, the James Stewart thing. You guys have all had discussions like that amongst yourselves. I don't know why they're still here. So we need a fix. I don't know what the contract is between Feld Motorsports and the FIM. If there is a timetable on it, if if we're possibly seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. What I have heard though, I did hear this a couple of weeks ago. However, that as far as the Brock Tickle, Cade Clayson situation, particularly Brock, either I think it's WADA. WADA has new people in there to go over the situation, and hopefully before long we'll have an answer as far as Tickle's situation is concerned. He's been waiting long enough. He still hasn't heard anything from him. He's phoned him. He's emailed him. He's done everything under the sun, with the exception of flying to Switzerland himself, or Germany, wherever it is. I think yeah, Germany. Sorry. With the exception of flying over there and walking through the doors at WADA. So, he's made no money other than training guys. He's training Marshall Welton right now, who's running 250 East. He's working with some other guys, helping them get ready. He's making money that way. He's still got some, sponsors helping him out. Alpine Stars is still throwing him some money to keep him going and everything, which I'm glad Alpine Stars and there's other ones that are doing it. Brock fully got screwed in that situation last year, and I know the urine test came back negative on both accounts, or positive, however you want to look at it. They came back the same on both accounts, but when there's no hearing, there's not even any contact, that's wrong. That is just more than wrong. I mean, if he would have shot somebody, he would have had a quicker answer than this. He could have gone into a convenience store and robbed the place and got caught and known his fate and probably been out of jail quicker than what he's been hearing anything from WADA and the FIM. So, hopefully that whole situation is resolved soon, or at least, we get an answer soon. Because Brock's not at the end of his career yet. He's been a pro for, this would have been his 12th season now, his 12th full season, I think. So he's not done yet. He still has, a good few years left in him. He's my age. He's 28 years old, going on 29, I think, this year. So he's still got time left. If he can't get anything figured out in the U.S., I say go to Canada. He had a multitude of offers to go to Canada last year with all this going on, which is what Cade Clayson did. And Cade's making a good career for himself up in Canada, riding for whatever Honda team. It's not the GDR Honda team, but his effort. He's got help from FXR, another great sponsor of the show. Again, for FlowVision FXR codes, head on over to Motocast.live and click on the codes page. But yeah, that's what Cade did. He had to make money. FIM is not directly involved with racing up in Canada, because the FIM sanctioning body in Canada is the CMA, which they don't even really do much anymore. They don't do anything on a pro side of things. And the sanctioning body that was running Canada, the pro stuff in Canada for so long, CMRC, they're done with it now, which is so now, you know, they have their Triple Crown series, their Supercross, Arena Cross, and Motocross. They're entering into their second year with that, and that's being run by Jetworks. If anybody's watching that can remember this, I can't remember off the top of my. I mean, it's the Jetworks Arena Cross series that they had down here for a few years. The guys like Heath Harrison ran. You know, it was a great Arena Cross series, but now they've taken everything up into Canada, and they're Canadian anyway. Jetworks is Canadian based anyway, Canadian founded. So yeah, that's what that's what Clayson did. He went to Canada because he had to make money. He had to make a living. He's a privateer down here. He's a support rider. He's a factory support rider up in Canada. He's a top 10 guy up in Canada. So yeah, go make money. FIM's not involved with Canada with their pro series being run right now. So yeah, go make money. I know Brock didn't want to do it last year because I think from what I heard, his deal was he was afraid if he did any of that, it would go against him racing down here. And that theory, I can kind of play into that theory a little bit. I can buy into that theory a little bit because that's kind of been talked about with Cade as well. Because he still hasn't heard anything about his situation, really. He hasn't, you know, heard how long he's suspended for, on probation for, whatever. He hasn't heard any of that. You know, and everyone's kind of wondering if, because he's racing in Canada, if that doesn't have something to do with it. So, yeah, that's that situation in a nutshell. I don't know if it's true or not, but you know, that's where it is, and that's where we can speculate to. But hopefully, like I said, hopefully we got something. We got an answer out of that soon. We get an answer out of that soon, as far as Brock is concerned, especially, and Cade as well. It'd be kind of wrong for them to give Brock an answer and not Cade when Cade's been, you know, in the dark longer than Brock has. Going through some of these comments here. Okay. Yes. Sorry about that, Mary. You're right. I wasn't really around the series full time in 2010. Yeah, Jordan. Yeah, Ashburn had Monster Energy support back in A days. Just wasn't, you know, a full factory deal, but he did have Monster Energy Kawasaki. You know, his Team Green support just wasn't the factory effort like it is now. But yeah, you're right about that. Aaron. Okay, so this is on the Bowers Barcia situation. Should have let him race and enforce whatever penalty after the race. Yeah, absolutely. That is exactly what should have been done. I know if anyone remembers this, 15 years ago at Phoenix, the Phoenix Supercross, Wyndham got into it on the first lap with Villeman. They initially disqualified Villeman. Not disqualified Villeman, I'm sorry, disqualified Wyndham. And this is, you know, and I don't think FIM was a part of this back then. So 2005 might have been the first year, I think. I can't even remember at this point. But Wyndham got disqualified. He appealed it. There was an appeals board that included about 6 people, I think. And this appeal board happened at the AMA headquarters in Pickerington, Ohio, which is just about an hour up the road from me. And after it was all said and done, it was decided that Wyndham would get his points back. No other ramifications. Because one, it was figured out that he didn't really take Villeman out. Villeman could have backed out of the throttle. Not to say that this was the same situation, but you know, and that really what sparked the entire, you know, you can't touch anybody. You know, that incident right there in 2004 at Phoenix, Arizona, Wyndham and Villeman, that sparked the whole thing that has lasted for all these 15 years, where if you touch somebody, that's dirty riding. And that's messed up and wrong. And we can thank Steve Whitelock for that one, because he was the one that disqualified Wyndham just like that. Now, in the one defense that I will give Whitelock, is the fact that Villeman ended up off the track from it. However, if he would have looked at the tape, if the tape would have been looked at from the TV cameras, the camera that was on the Honda video camera that was on Wyndham, and the Yamaha video camera that was on Villeman, plus a fourth angle that nobody ever saw, that the general public didn't see. If they would have looked at that first, they would have realized that Wyndham didn't take Villeman out, and then we wouldn't have this huge entire issue. So that set the precedent for all of this. You know, why everyone was so upset, or not everyone, but so many people were upset with the pass that Musquin put on Tomac in MetLife last year. I don't think that was definitely aggressive, maybe a little too aggressive, but it wasn't a dirty move. It wasn't a takeout move. Yeah, Tomac ended up on the ground, but it wasn't a takeout move. You know, I mean, it was racing. Musquin had to go for the pass, decided to go for the pass, and he made it happen. Yeah, Tomac crashed, got his grip ripped off, whatever, but Musquin didn't go in there with the intention of taking him out. So I think everyone needs to, and here's the thing, and I've said this before, not really on here, but I've said this before if anyone asks. The problem with the issue that a lot of people have with everyone going in and running it in on each other and making block passes and everything else, and I've got pro Supercross and Motocross guys watching this right now, and if you guys want to verify on this, please by all means do. The tracks are not being set up where you can make passes, and a lot of this is four strokes. We'll just throw that out there. A lot of this is because of four strokes, but the tracks are built to where you can't make a clean pass, or you can't always make a pass without touching somebody. There's a difference between a clean block pass and a dirty block pass. There's a huge difference there. But you can't. Nobody can go to an inside anymore and cut the line off without kind of getting into somebody, because if you do that, then you're going to blow the entire next section and you're going to get passed right back, compared to the old two-stroke days when the tracks had more room to work with. Not more room to work with, but the corners in particular were more spread out from even the inside to the first jump. So you may not be able to triple out of the inside, but you could at least double out of the inside, and you could make an inside arc of the corner through a rut and beat somebody out of there while they're swinging the outside to hit the triple. So it's different, but the thing that everyone needs to take in mind is the tracks are not allowing for open racing, because as soon as you make the corner, like take a Supercross triple right out of a corner, as soon as you make the corner, you go 10 feet, there's the takeoff. I mean, it's not 30 feet like it used to be with two strokes. It's only 10 feet, so there's no way you're going to triple from the inside with 10 feet, even on a 450. 250 two-stroke with 30 feet, you absolutely can triple out of the inside. You're going to go high, but you're going to be able to hit it. So, everyone needs to take that in mind. I think everyone needs to have a little bit more leniency with aggressive riding. Riders can tell, and anybody that's that's watching on TV, they can tell if the camera angle is hitting it right. They can tell if it's a dirty pass or not, if it's a blatant takeout or not. Anybody that's been around the sport long enough can make that distinction. It's not that's not a gray area. I mean, look at any race from the 70s or the 80s. Hanna and Howerton and Weinert, those guys, Johnson, Ward, LaCie, Glover. Watch any of those races from the 70s and 80s. Those guys hit each other for 20 laps. And it wasn't dirty takeouts, but they banged on each other for 20 laps. As soon as the race is over, shaking hands, they go out that night, have a couple of beers, whatever, and it was good. When it wasn't good, you knew it was because somebody intentionally went for the swing arm, went for the front wheel, whatever, and intentionally took somebody down. So, there's there's a difference there. There is a difference there, and anyone that's been around the sport long enough knows what it is. Anyone that's been in that kind of race environment knows what the difference is. I've been around it. I've been taken out. I've done taking out. You know, I'm not saying I'm innocent on that. So I mean, I know the difference. Anybody that's raced a Supercross before knows the difference. Even Tomac, he may not have liked that pass that Musquin put on him, but he knows the difference if Musquin went in there and just blatantly just nailed him. You know, there was a little bit of an opening there. Musquin went for it and it worked out for him. Didn't work out for Tomac. But if Musquin would have just gone in and rammed his rear end, you know, went for the swing arm, went for the foot peg, whatever, basically like what it looked like Bowers did to Barcia, then we'd have another issue there. But it wasn't that case. So I think that's something that everybody needs to be looking at and considering when there's an incident like that. I think everyone needs to have a little bit more relaxed view on that stuff. But it is what it is. We move on to see another race, and more than likely more instances like that. Let's see, 8:51 right now. I've been talking for quite a bit. Let's see here. Let's see if we got... All right, I got an idea. I'm going to look this up real quick. Let me see here. There we go. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the show, we're going to do a giveaway, a set of FlowVision goggles. And if you don't win the goggles, head on over to Motocast.live, check the codes page, and you get a code there from FlowVision goggles. You can also get a code from FXR Racing as well. So let's see. Alrighty. Okay, here's one. Here's one just to see how well you guys know your history on racing. Who was basically the first rider? He basically did this in right around like late 80s, mainly in the early 90s when he did this. Who was the first rider to bring individual outside sponsorship into Supercross and motocross racing? I'll give you one hint. His box van, the bike, and his race gear were predominantly white other than the company logo, which had color in it. And you needed to use this if you wanted to keep your stuff white. So whoever the first rider, to bring outside sponsorship into Supercross and motocross racing, he did in the early 90s. Whoever gives the correct answer, I'll draw and pick a winner out of that, and I'll do that here in about another... I'll do that here in about another 10 minutes, or I'll do it after the show actually, and I'll announce the winner on Facebook and Instagram, social media, everything. But yeah, first rider to bring outside sponsorship into Supercross. He did it back in the early 90s. Had all white box fan, bike, and gear. Let's see, anything else we can talk about here? Oh, that was another thing. Somebody messaged me about that. This was a really cool announcement that was made yesterday. Red Bull Factory KTM Racing, Team Factory KTM, putting a full effort into American Flat Track this year in the AFT singles class, which is really cool. Dan Bromley, who was the defending singles champion last year, he's part of the team. You know, he's a naturally to be on the team. He won the championship on a KTM. He only had, this is a really cool story just on his account. He only had money to do the first 3 races, which include Daytona, I think Georgia, and maybe out in California or something like that. Or it was something else like that. Yeah, he only had money to do the first 3. He won the first one. I think he got second or third at the second round. And then KTM threw him more support and even more support throughout the year, and he won the title. So Dan Bromley, defending singles champion, is on the team. And then Shayna Texter, who is she's either the winningest singles rider in history, or she's the winningest singles rider currently racing singles right now. That was worded several different times, so I'm not entirely sure on which accurate account that is. But she's on the team. She's won 15 singles main events in the past. So, you know, it's pretty cool to see Factory KTM being involved, you know, getting involved in flat track. And from what I'm hearing, either later this year or more than likely, if it's not later this year, it's more than likely going to be 2020. They are going to be entering the Twins division with a 750 engine, which is going to be pretty cool. And, you know, really cool that, you know, KTM is going to throw their hat in the ring with, you know, and throw a full factory effort into flat track racing, which is pretty cool in my opinion. Interested to see how that works out for him. You know, Bromley made it work even as a privateer before KTM started throwing him support. So there's no reason that it wouldn't work this year. And you know, that the first round of that series kicks off March 14th at Daytona National Speedway. I've been there the last 2 years. I'll go again this year. What's really cool this year compared to the last 2 years, they're actually using the tri-oval as part of the racetrack, which is just awesome. They've just kept it on the infield, which didn't allow for the greatest track. You had to really, I went last year, and the guy that was really impressing me and making a lot of great passes was, I think it was a Spanish guy. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but it was a Spanish guy. He was making great passes on a track that you couldn't really pass on, which is really cool. But the fact that they're using the tri-oval of the speedway and extending that out, and it's going to be a TT course, so the fact they're extending it out onto the tri-oval is really awesome, and I'm excited to check that out. And I'd like to get track access, but getting a track access as Daytona is harder than, you know, running for office. It's from what I've heard from everybody. So yeah, March 14th. If you guys are in the Daytona area during Bike Week, if you're sticking around after the Supercross, you got time to kill in between Florida and Georgia GNCCs if you're going to do that. You know, stick around, head on over to the Speedway. I know I ran into some guys last year or 2 years ago. I ran into Digital Dave and Chris Bach and some of those guys last year, the year before, which is cool to run into some of those guys. So yeah, if you guys are still in Daytona, you know, hanging out, doing Bike Week and everything, check out the flat track March 14th. I think that's a Thursday, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe a Wednesday. No, that is a Thursday. I'm right. That is a Thursday. So that'll be cool. So yeah, you know, just check out flat track, and then the Daytona 200 will be on the 16th, which is Saturday, and I'm bummed I'm gonna miss that again. But duty calls, I'll be in Aonia Pass for the GNCC, and you know, we'll be up there. Hopefully, I'll have enough service or whatever to actually be able to watch the race, or I'll see if I can convince KTM to mount the TV up so I can watch the race on the satellite in the rig. But yeah, Daytona 200 by Honda. That event's still going on. I wish they would kind of bring that event back. I know the Moto America series is kind of fallen, you know, away again. They're still getting some great, they're still getting support, but it's just not, and you know, they've got an online TV package, but it's just not like what it was 10 years ago when, you know, the Super Sport and Superbike and everything was all there, and they had, you know, all the manufacturers in there, and, you know, street bike sales were way up. You know, and I know it's because of the downturn of the economy all those years ago, like 10, 11 years ago. I know that's, you know, why it happened, but you know, that's just the world we're living in at this point. You know, street motorcycle sales are down. As far as sport bikes are concerned, I think more people are starting to go to the cruisers. You know, the Harley Davidsons, the Victories, you know, the Hondas, the Yamahas, you know, all that. You know, they're going more that way. Not really a whole lot of people are doing the sport bike stuff anymore. At least nobody's, you know, and you know, the manufacturers, a lot of the manufacturers aren't really supporting him. You know, like not the Japanese manufacturers. Kawasaki, you know, was always real big with Doug Chandler and those guys. Honda, you know, they had Nikki Hayden. That was really cool. Actually, I got to go to the AMA Hall of Fame induction this year, and check out Nikki being a posthumously. What's the word I'm looking for? I can't remember the word I'm looking for, but you know, whatever. They honored Nikki, and from right out of here in Athens, Ohio, where I'm located, the 4-time national enduro champion Terry Cunningham, he got inducted this year, and it was really cool to be able to be there and witness that and see Terry get inducted and see him and his family. You know, my family's known Terry and his family since before I was around, before any of his kids were around. So it was really cool to be able to go up there and witness that, and witness Nikki being inducted. Tommy gave a really good speech. You know, his brother Tommy gave a really good speech in honor of Nikki. So so that was really cool. But yeah, like I was saying, just, you know, the the manufacturers just aren't there in street bike racing anymore. Posthumous, thank you, Kevin. Yeah, posthumous. Um, yeah, Stork, Free Rock Tickle. All right, Josh, Isaac, I'm gonna beat you guys the next time I see you. Don't bring that crap into here. This is a motorcycle show. This isn't basketball. Yeah, I hate you guys right now. Aaron, when is the show gonna have a CBD? You know what the thing is? A few months back, somebody actually messaged me. Um, Somebody sent me a message on Instagram that was affiliated with some CBD company. Like, I don't even know how they found me, but I actually got contacted about that, and they said, you know, we'd like to introduce you to the product, tell you what it's about and everything. So after a while, I was like, and I read more up about it before I even responded, but I read up more on it and kind of got my own opinions about it before I agreed to anything. So I responded back. I said, you know, yeah, you know, go ahead and send me stuff if you want to. You know, check it out. I'll, you know, do whatever. And I haven't heard anything back on it, but somebody actually did contact me about that. But no, it is funny. I actually did get contacted about that, which was just really weird for me to even, yeah, to get that. But yeah, it was just, it was just funny. Um, yeah, but I'm gonna wrap this up here. Yep, for the how many are, yep, 3 of you. Yeah, since we only got 6 people watching anymore that, you know, had any idea. Yep, Jeff Glass, and he was out of where in Ohio was he? He Atwater or something like that. Jeff Glass out of Ohio. Surf laundry detergent. Um, I wish I had a picture of that. If anyone else has a picture of that that's in color, send it over to me. Um, yeah, Jeff Glass was the first rider to bring in individual sponsorship, which was great for the sport. It really kicked off everything, you know. And this was individual rider support, and we kind of had outside sponsorships already kind of in place. Coors, Camel, Wrangler. Holidaysburg. Okay, it was PA. I always thought it was, for some reason, I always thought it was in Ohio. Holidaysburg, Pennsylvania. But yeah, Jeff brought in Surf Laundry Detergent, and he had an all-white box fan, all-white Honda, all-white gear with surf all over it to add in a little bit of color. Holidaysburg. Okay. That makes more sense now. Oh, yeah, it broke up. Holidaysburg, Pennsylvania, Jeff Glass was from. Okay, yeah, it says here where I looked it up, it said Duncansville. I don't know why I didn't just look at that. Yeah, that really kind of kicked off everything, and it was really cool. He had a great setup, and it really brought up a lot of attention, a lot of outside attention to the sport with the ads that Jeff ended up being in with surf all over him and the motorcycle and everything. So that really kind of elevated it up. Yeah, Surf Laundry Detergent was the first, kind of major outside as far as a rider is concerned, which is a really cool one. And Jeff was a privateer rider, so it was really good for him to take that first step and get outside sponsorship. And we've seen a lot of that here over the years with riders doing that. And yeah, like you said, Aaron, now CBD is starting to make their presence in Supercross with Reed and with Dean Wilson. So yeah, it's good. And it's a nice step forward. Here in a couple years, they're going to be all over it. I have a feeling once all the legal situations are finally figured out and state legislation and everything like that, I think it's going to be a good thing for the sport, and it sounds like it's already a good thing for the riders that are actually trying it and using it. So, on that note, I'm going to wrap it up unless you guys have any other thoughts, throw them in the comments real quick, and I can go over them. Oh yeah, if you check out the new logo up in the top of the screen right here, the new Motocast.live, Jesse Walters and EMLO logo. I think that's the name of it. Thanks for doing that logo, Jesse. Check your messages. I've messaged you a couple of times about another project, another thing I had you do. So if you can check that out, I would appreciate it. But yeah, thanks to Jesse for doing the logo up in the screen, up in the top corner. Going to be posting video updates, write-ups, everything like that on the website Motocast.live. If you need anything from Flow Vision goggles, if you need goggles for the year, or if you need new race gear for the 2019 season, courtesy of FXR Race Gear, you can head on over to Motocast.live. Again, hit the codes page, and I got codes on there for Flow Vision goggles and for FXR Race Gear. So again, thanks for watching, everyone. Thanks to everyone for participating and starting up some conversations and everything else. Really appreciate it. But this has been another episode of the Motocast. Try to do one next week before I head down to Atlanta for the Atlanta Supercross, and then making my way down to Florida to get some filming done with a couple of GNCC guys before everything kicks off with Bike Week with Daytona Supercross, as well as the Florida GNCC, Daytona TT Flat Track, and then heading on up to Georgia for the general GNCC up at Aonia Pass Raceway. So again, guys, thanks for hanging out, watching along, being part of the conversation, and I will see you guys next time. Thanks, guys. See ya.